Hi, my name is Ray Ripple, and this is 10 pieces that have completely changed my life and that I've done. I've done more than this, but you know. Cakes and paintings are on the list because that's kind of how all of this started. I bought a cake pan, a Care Bears cake pan from a yard sale when my daughter was 3, and it looked like a Care Bear sitting on the table, Indian style. Whenever I made it, it looked exactly like the box. Now, the cake was not done in the middle. Whenever I took it to Chuck E. Cheese, it kind of started this chain reaction of people asking for cakes. During this time that I was baking, you know, I wanted to learn. And so I had gotten a job at Walmart and the bakery, and I was making cakes in the bakery, learning the ropes, like how to decorate, how to do all this stuff. And then people eventually started coming up and trying to order cakes and like side hustling Walmart. Where I was like, you know, I can make this cake better and cheaper. And then people started ordering cakes from me. And then Walmart found out and then I got fired. So I have been fired from a lot of jobs, I think. You know, cakes and painting is very important because it's the start of how I even found out that like I had some sort of creative entity that lives in my body. The Midland Public Library. The reason why that one also is so important is because Netflix, that was the only credibility in my resume as far as big sculpture builds. And I had just completed it. The library consisted of this beautiful like 30-foot hot air balloon made out of all recycled oil-filled materials. It was like a 3-piece art project. So it was the sculpture, a set of wings that went on the building, which was my first pair of metal wings that I ever put on a building ever. I think period, because most wings on a building are painted. Fellas, if you're watching this, if you want to get a girl, just paint some wings on a building. I promise you they'll show up. It meant a lot to me because it put me in this position I would have to leave the fire department to pursue art full time. When I got the project, I took the risk and I left the fire department and decided to do art full time. And then I installed it and then COVID happened. So I thought, you know, for sure I was gonna have to go back to the fire department. But you know, when you're an artist, you're moldable and you're never just stuck to one medium. You kind of should dive into other things. And so because the world was shut down, I got a CNC machine, shout out Fast Cut CNC, which put me in a position to start doing business signs because businesses were closed. And because I was an artist, I was helping develop that kind of stuff, which taught me how to build and install these larger pieces. These are seeds, people. We just be doing stuff and you plant seeds. And if you follow the path, the trees will grow. I had this idea weighing on my heart, you know, for years. I used to drive my tow truck in that whole area and I wanted so bad to paint that bridge because it was falling down, falling apart, it was condemned, very neglected, and I just wanted to paint a message of love on it. And so I put, "You can't defeat love" on the bridge, which caused a whole lot of things to start chain reacting in the town of Big Spring, which outside looking back, I would have painted it again. I don't regret painting it, but I'm very disappointed in some people that were on the other side of this. What's crazy about this is the mayor in the town at that time, he loved it so much when the whole world was hating me. He took this like nice guy facade while I took all the backlash for it and then secretly gave me the key to the city. When nobody was looking, which is in the Big Spring dump. So that's exactly where it should be. I threw it in the dump, like in the trash can the next day, because I didn't feel like this man that pretended to be something on the internet was aligning with values and belief that he told me that he had, which was the whole reason behind painting the bridge with Big Spring. I'm pretty sure the city council meeting for that was the highest attended city council meeting. People got up and spoke that had never spoke before. People got up and did things and stood for something that had never stood up for anything in their life. So if anything, there's a power there. Art starts conversations, and that's exactly what it did. It started a conversation. Fire extinguishers is definitely on the list because that's kind of how people started really kind of seeing my work. And whenever I was in the fire academy, we had a fire extinguisher class, and I just needed to know what those were made of. Started kind of playing with a plasma cutter and fire extinguishers, and then I I started getting orders. And at some point I had so many orders that I couldn't draw it on anymore, that I was just like freehanding things, which developed my freehand skills now. So fire extinguishers are so important, not just because that's the time of my life that I was chasing the fire department after leaving the tow industry, but that's a key moment in how Netflix found me. You may recognize me from Netflix or maybe like one episode of Monster Garage, but nobody watched that because the show was terrible anyways. But Netflix is what changed everything for me. They reached out to me about this show and this idea, and they wanted to cast me for it. And then I didn't think I got the show, you know, because number one, I didn't feel like I had the resume for something like this. They called me and was like, hey, you made the show, flying you out, and you're gonna be gone for a month. Are you ready? And I was, hell yeah, I'm ready. And then I did it, and it was the most grueling month of my life. Met some incredible people. So when I came home, I just got right back to work and then forgot about it until it came out in 2021. And then the next day, nothing was the same. Everything changed. Everything I do stems from an idea that I hold on to, and until I'm ready, like, the universe aligns and I'm able to do it. And this is kind of one of those situations where I had been wanting to cut up a car. I'd been cutting stuff up on cars as a tow truck driver. It was time to cut a whole car. Got off shift, went and picked up this truck, took it home, started clearing it out, and then started cutting it. And that kind of started this revolution of these plasma cut cars, which stems from me driving a tow truck and taking body parts of cars home and cutting them up. And then now I'm cutting my whole, like a whole truck, which I thought would only be the only one in the world. Like, that would be it. Like, nobody would let me just cut up cars. And like, now here we are, we're like, how many deep? My beautiful clients, Terry and Barbara, reached out to me about cutting up this car, and they were gonna make it a running, driving car show machine. Because I had cut up the truck and like hoods and doors, we had laid out this whole plan of what we were gonna do with this car, and I cut it up. And that one changed, like, I mean, the truck changed a lot of things, but that car, I don't know what it was about that car, but the whole world saw it. She was in magazines in France and overseas. People from all over the world were just messaging me and seeing this and wanting to do articles on it and like insane stuff. And then now it's like bagged, it's got red rims, the interior's been fully redone. Like, this thing is restored, classic, period correct, which is exactly what I'm doing to the Impala / Bel Air. I think I've gotten a couple of death threats on the Chevy Stylemaster, which was pretty funny. These people are crazy when it comes to like enthusiasts on cars and like restoration, and which is, you know, kind of opposite to what I'm fixing to do with this Impala and with Derek. Like, he's a purist. He rescues these things, and then he just handed it over to me to use my plasma cutter with. Long story short, like, it's not your car. They look awesome, and they're one of one. It's very, very, very different than anything you would ever see in a paint job any day of the week. And a lot of these cars that look restored have how much Bondo underneath them? Just saying. I'm just gonna, mic drop, I'm just gonna leave that right there. How much Bondo work did you do? When Harley gave me that bike, a lot of people said I didn't deserve to be up there with those guys who are builders, because there is a lot of really incredible builders. Thrash and Supply, we got Sosa, you know, FXR division. Those are all my homies, and I was standing right up there with them, which was insane. And so a lot of people said that I didn't deserve to be there. So as a testament to that, I took this bike completely apart, down to frame. I ended up having to rebuild the motor because I sandblasted it and got sand all in the motor. So if you want to watch that whole episode, you can go to Harley's socials and find it. But that bike was so hard to build. And a part of my life too, you know, there was a lot of changes happening in my personal life as well. And a lot of people don't know this either, but I actually built this bike in heart failure with a heart monitor on, and I'm fine now. Very, very difficult to build. And so I imagine that this car is going to be a complete opposite of that, and going into it from a place of love, and it's been given in a place of love, and it's for love. I think it's going to be a little bit different. So next on the list would have to be the 1939 GMC panel van that I took to Fabtech Expo this year. It's the biggest welding convention basically in the world. And I had this idea, of course, with Hypertherm about taking a whole vehicle, putting it on the floor in the middle of all these robots and just me and my hands, and I cut the whole thing during the show. Now, cutting an entire vehicle in 3 days seems so unrealistic, and when we unloaded it, I thought, oh shit, what the hell was I thinking? There's no way I can pull this off. And then I look back at my time, because I did pull it off, and then I look back at my time and I cut this thing in less than 3 hours. I had plenty of time to talk, and I know y'all think I talk a lot, but I had plenty of time to talk. Being able to create that and freehand that in front of everybody was a rush. Also, the panel van's up for sale. So if you're interested in making it run a drive, just know, she for sale. The Colorado project, Northeastern Junior College, the Applied Technology campus. About this time last year, I was, in conversations with them on this project and what we would want it to initially look like. I had this crazy dream, and you can ask my husband. I woke up and I smacked him and I was like, I got it. I know exactly what I'm gonna do for the college. I'm going to cut the Mustang in half and hang it on the wall. Do not let me forget. And he was like, you're wild. That's what he said, you're wild. And then totally pulled it off. And then there's the biggest chandelier I've ever done, which is this 13-foot gear chandelier and beautiful Northeastern wall piece with their logo. This project, I don't even know how to say it, but this project saved my whole life. I fell in love with the people that work there. It's really changed my life, and so have the people. So this project means the whole world to me. It was my first project, real big project, moving to Tennessee. A lot of challenges, but also the very first project I ever built out of a place of happiness and love and contentness and safety. I used to joke before I moved to Tennessee that art is best created when you're either falling apart or falling in love, and most of my life I've been falling apart, and this was the first project in my entire life and my entire career as an artist that it was built out of a place of love, and it really reflects that in the piece. Every single piece that I make, it tells a story of my life. If you really dive into the piece, I'm kind of like Taylor Swift, just be leaving all these hints and things everywhere, and if you read between the lines, you'll see what I was really going through. I'm a human just like everybody else. Each sculpture, I hope, always reflects that, because it is my life, it is a piece of me, and I exchanged a lot of my life to build that. For it to live here forever, it's gonna extend its life way longer than mine. I feel like on the list should be my home, because I never had a home, and so moving to Tennessee and actually purchasing a home for the first time, and anybody that's ever lived in a life that I've lived in knows that the number one thing that any of us want when you've never had a home your whole life is to have a home. When I bought this house and moved to Tennessee, you know what? I can take Playboys and put them all over the wall in my bathroom. I can have a whole room dedicated to clothes. I can spray paint my floor. I can do all of these things. And so I started kind of just making this house my own art piece and a reflection of me. This house is gonna stay in my family forever. My house is a reflection of what is inside my heart and my mind and my soul. And so it's very important that my house feels like home and safe and calm, because it really reflects in my art. So next on the list, which is very, very important to me, always wanting to get into lighting. And as you can see, this project started that branch for me. This restaurant called Mexican Sugar, they're in Houston, Texas. So Steven believed in me, and he loved my lace car so much that he asked me if I wanted to build the chandelier that would hang in their staircase for their restaurant, which ended up just like Phillis Gene. It really kind of set this standard of what I'm capable of. It's 5 feet by 5 feet. And I'm actually working on one currently that will be installed for Mexican Sugar in Austin, Texas, which is another 5 foot by 5 foot chandelier that's gonna hang in their stairwell of their restaurant. So that piece created light in my life. I built so many things along the way. Like I built this aluminum Stingray that I swore I would never build anything aluminum ever again because it was so terrible. And then there's like pianos and like all these insane things that I've built that are in between all of this. And like just sitting here in this interview, like I remember all of them. Like the axes, you know, for the whiskey distillery, like things like that. Like I forgot I did a sign for Miranda Lambert as well. You know, crazy things that just like I forget all these things happen because I'm just constantly, you know, when I'm done with it, move on, we're going to the next. You're just gonna have to do a deep dive. There's a lot there. The crazy thing about art and creating is that every sculpture is something I've never done before, and everything forward is something I've never done before. Everything's so vastly different, everything's changing so much that I hope that you just see here, everything you do is connected. Every single piece, every single move, every single choice you make is connected. And it's connected me to all these different avenues and all these great places to create all these things. So I think at the end of the day, if you just keep your head forward and one foot in front of the other, it's gonna lead you exactly where you're supposed to be going, and you're gonna be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And that's exactly what happened in my life. They may be the top 10 pieces of my life, but I still have the future. There's a lot more to go, and I'm just getting started.